Hi there, and welcome to part 1 in helping make customized videos in teaching. So part 1 here, we're going to look at the devices that you can use to help you record. If you think about your video, you really want to communicate a message, maybe illustrate something, demonstrate, show it. Maybe it's a hands-on use of a piece of equipment, or maybe you're just revising something and you want to connect with your audience. So you need to consider what the video's goal is. And then around that, identifying the key message you want to get across, planning the video, how long it's going to be. I think the length is vital, so consider how long you would look at a video before you start recording. The devices to use, which we'll talk about in this part, and then consider how you could maybe do things, record it in specific quality so that it's future-proofed. And then obviously there's big things like editing, audio, and lighting. And there, you might say, are they needed? Are they necessary? But there's some simple aspects of it that could really help. And if we make a mistake, we can actually change it as we progress through the video. So it's really helpful to be aware of those and how important in some cases they might be. And then finally, how you're going to share your video with your audience. So I guess when I looked at all the devices you could consider, you have your laptop camera, a webcam, which are the cameras that you might attach onto the top of the monitor. You can purchase them separately. Your smartphone is an incredible camera device. You might have a digital SLR, like with lenses on top of a camera body, or you might have a mirrorless camera. So then you could use a GoPro camera, which I'm sure you've heard of, very mobile. We have tablets, and we can screen record on smartphones and other tablets. So if we collectively put together, say, the laptop camera and the webcam, because they're very similar, and we talk about those for a minute. We'll talk about DSLR cameras and mirrorless, how you might be able to use those, and some of the other things I've mentioned here as well. So on the left-hand side first, the vast majority of your laptops have now got a built-in camera and a microphone. And I think be wary of the angle that you're going to set it at. So here, for example, I have my laptop set up at eye level. So the camera is almost at eye level. Rather than being down and I'm looking down into the camera, it's much easier to connect if you're looking at eye level. So be very wary of that. If you purchase the dedicated webcams like these ones here in this image, you see these are the ones that clip onto the top of your monitor. They can offer you some higher resolution and maybe less motion blur, but the laptop ones now have got to a quality that are perfect for what you may want to use. So I've mentioned a couple here if you were looking. And these can sit on your monitor, as I said, but they can also sit on an arm, so like a tripod or a little adjustable arm that you can bend depending on what you want. Lighting is vital, and I mention lighting because you might think, oh, I don't want to invest in lights and things like this, but I see it online. A window is a brilliant source of light. But if you're sitting sideways to your window, you'll find out that half your face is lit and half your face is in darkness. If you have a window behind you, you're going to find out that your camera can't deal with the brightness of the window and your face. So you're going to come across in the shade almost compared to the light behind you. So facing a window or pulling down a blind so that you get soft light on your face is actually really clear and really improves clarity and improves the video quality enormously. It puts less strain on the actual cameras. So if you use these webcams or the laptop cameras and you don't have good lighting, what's going to happen is the camera will kind of pixelate a little bit to try and get an image, but it won't look very sharp. So just beware of that. And then a lot of people ask me about the cameras on laptops and security and how do you hide them when you don't want them in use. Well, a lot of them now have lights and so on that you'll see your cameras live, but you can buy these on Amazon, these little retractable thin covers that you can slide over your camera should you want. So how did I get my laptop up to eye level? Well, I bought at the start of lockdown, I bought this Vinehall door in Ireland, a wooden piece. It's 3 pieces of wood that connect together, and it allowed me to get my laptop up a little bit higher. And you can buy nice chrome ones and so on Amazon, but it's nice to get your laptop up eye level, and also allows some aeration because so that they don't overheat and the bottom of the laptop can cool, especially if you're doing a lot of video editing. And on the right hand side, I'm just showing you some other products, these kind of clamp arms that you could use for your smartphone or for a webcam, depending on how you want to connect to and get your device to eye level. I mentioned your smartphone before. It is a terrific camera, believe it or not. As long as you don't pinch in too far and zoom in so much that it gets a bit pixelated. Smartphones often have full HD cameras, which means there is 1080 pixels in the vertical dimension, and it means that it's going to record very high quality. So could you use your smartphone as a webcam? Could you use your smartphone for a Zoom call or a Teams call if you want that high quality camera? And you can. You can download an app called Epoch Cam HD. It's $8.99. It's on Mac and Android, or Apple and Android store. And all you have to do is connect the phone via your charge cable to your laptop. And you can use a little tripod stand for your phone. And then next thing, your phone will be your actual webcam, and you can get really good video in that way. So it works, as I said, with a lot of the tools that we're discussing at the moment. Your smartphone in general, as I said, it's a great video camera. So maybe this is something you want for the demonstration that you want to record. So how could you use it? Well, there's one issue with using phones, and that's often stabilization, as in that your video could be very jumpy based on the movement of the device. So options, you can get a little tripod clamp. So if we have, or you have a tripod for a camera, we can then connect these little clamps, and your phone will sit on the top, and then they're stationary and they won't move. And if you can use the camera at the back, you'll have higher resolution often than the camera at the front, but still you have a really good device to record. The other thing you can do is buy these kind of joysticks, which have a Bluetooth controlled gimbal. And that means that your video will remain stable, very cinematic, and move very slowly and swiftly. And they're incredible. We have one in our department, and for recording video around maybe showing a piece of equipment can be very handy. Again, all you need to do is download a DJI Go app, and with Bluetooth, then it'll connect with your phone, and you can record what you want in that case and get the video from the file. So your smartphone is a very useful device for either webcams or recording footage, but you just have to consider the stabilization and potentially audio, which we'll talk about later on. If you have a digital SLR camera or a mirrorless camera, you can use a tripod and record off that way. You can also actually use these cameras now by connecting them through various accessories to your laptop, so that you could use them if you wanted ultra high quality and blurring backgrounds and so on with lenses. You can do that, but it's a bit of an expensive setup. It's just if you have these cameras and you wanted some way of recording, there is a way, but you do have to consider audio again, which I'll come back to later on. So GoPro is something that you hear a lot of people mention, very portable. We can wear these cameras using a chest or head harnesses. So it's kind of like having a body cam, and some are waterproof. So a huge opportunity here that you could use these devices for recording specific things. I found when I used it, it had a very wide angle view, the model I used. So just be aware of it. It has huge benefits, but it's good to be aware of that. So for example, this video, there are 4 different videos going on here, and they're all recorded in different ways. So the top left is a GoPro. The rest, top right, is recorded with the digital SLR. The bottom left is recorded with a screen recording, which I'll talk about shortly. And same on the bottom right, it was an animation I drew and then screen recorded. So by playing it, so if you look at the video on the top left, you can see this kind of wide angle view. And it's very handy. You can wear your harness and you can demonstrate something, and it'll record it as you use it. Top right, I'm using the digital camera on the top of a tripod. It could be a smartphone, so on. And I'm using that to record here. Also using the digital SLR here, handheld. And you can zoom in and twist the lens and focus. The bottom left is just to show you how you can screen record, how you could write on a screen and record. I'll mention an app in a minute that could really help you. And the bottom right, the same again, the idea of having this idea of doing an animation, designing one, say in PowerPoint, and then screen recording that. All of those can be helpful, those different angles and different devices that you can use. And finally, I just want to talk to you a little bit about, I suppose, tablets and screen recording. An iPad Pro is a terrific device. As you saw earlier, I was able to write on the screen. You have Microsoft Surface Pros as well. Any device that has a stylus is very good because it rejects your palm touching the glass and records the stylus. We've actually got built-in screen recording options in your smartphone and your tablet right now, and it saves it as a video. So for example, in iPhone, if you just access your control center, there is an option to have a screen record. And once you push this, it starts recording what you have on your screen. And I think this is very handy if you want to record something that you're drawing or sketching on a device that you want to use later. The one I mentioned earlier where I was writing on the screen, I think an app is called Explain EDU. And here you can draw, you can have light, arrows, lasers, everything you need. It's basically like having a digital whiteboard. It'd be brilliant for recording calculations and then talking through it. It records your voice as well if you plug in your earphones, but it's a terrific app all around that I'd highly recommend. So questions to ask yourself, I suppose, before you think of this device is, do you want to introduce the video? So do you want to be face to face, or are you going to pop yourself in later on to narrate over a video? And what devices are you going to have to charge? I would highly recommend piloting everything once. Do you need a buddy system? I found this hugely beneficial to have Karen as a buddy, facilitated with camera movements, advice, tips, just sees things differently and can really make the best of a team, I suppose, in producing your video. Making a checklist is very helpful. If you do use your smartphone, consider that the students might be viewing this on their laptops. And if that's the case, landscape mode, as in keeping it across the way, is better than having it maybe portrait. And how could you make a video engaging? What kind of things could you include? So just before we finish, I suppose a lot of people are going to think about designing a video in this context. Maybe they'll have 7 different things they want to have in the video, 1 minute each, kind of descriptions. And all of a sudden they start thinking, well, I'm going to go for it now. So I'm going to record a 10-minute video and I'm going to just go for it and have all those 7 things in. But if you do a long video, often that's very tricky, very difficult. It'd be much easier if we recorded it in different segments. So you might have a segment to introduce. You might record a fragment in the segment in the lab. You could have a segment where you're sketching something, and so on. And it's all about fusing these bits back together. So why would you take the fragmented approach and segment it? Well, it gives you, I suppose, a multitude of different things that you can put together that's much more engaging, but it takes a huge amount of pressure off you. It's not like you have to get through one take of a long video. You can break it into small bits, use multiple angles, different sections, maybe in the laboratory, maybe in a clinical skills session. You, as I said, increase engagement, include some footage of equipment, and then we can easily stitch them together. So how are we going to stitch these little fragments that we have? Well, what we need is a software package, a video editing software package. And there are so many of these available, but a lot of them are drag and drop and they follow the same principles. So here what we could do is make one of the clips shorter. We could take a bit out in the middle. So say if we were recording and you spotted something after, you say, I don't want that little bit. We could take out a middle fragment if we wanted, and then fuse all the bits together, add a bit of music. You could narrate over the whole thing and we could fade to black at the end. So that software is something that we can talk through in part 2. Okay. So if you follow the link to part 2, we look at how we can stitch these together using 3 software packages. And hopefully one of those will be one that will be able to help you with that access.